Good morning, everybody. We are in Masechet Pessachim. We are in Daf Ayin Vav Amoud Bet. I would like to make a little publicity that we're starting a new shir Bli Neder at the end of Likutei Moran for whoever has the koch on January 4th. We're starting the sugya of the Yarkei Kala, B'ezrat Hashem. So it's a trial of 5 weeks, B'ezrat Hashem, of a new shir. Whether it continues after, we'll see, B'ezrat Hashem, for the Yarkei Kala and Jerusalem. Ayin Vav Amoud Bet. We said the Mishnah yesterday. I'll repeat the Mishnah quickly. Chamisha dvarim ba'in betuma ve'enan nechanin betuma. We are speaking about things that can be brought even in a state of impurity to bring it to the Beit HaMikdash, to bring a korban, even though the people are tameh. What are they? Ha'omer. When on Shavuot we bring a korban of barley. The korban of barley is to allow the new barley to be eaten, the new wheat, the new crop to be eaten. Ushte halechem. On Shavuot we bring 2 loaves of bread as a korban. That allows korbanot from the new crop. Velechem apanim. Every Shabbat we would put certain showbread in the mizbeach, on the shulchan inside the Beit HaMikdash. That even if they were impure, you're still allowed to bring them. They're not eaten. V'zivche sham mitzibu. Also a certain korban on Shavuot, which is a shlamim. We would check the korban. We would bring it even when the people were in tameh. And the last one, se'ireh rashi chodashim. And the last one is a chatat on Rosh Chodesh. So we just counted 4 things, and these 4 things normally are eaten. Normally it seems to be that they're eaten. These are 5 things that are usually eaten. Here they're not eaten because they're brought in a state of impurity. However, we're allowed to bring them. So we did the mitzvah, we didn't eat it. The last one is a Pesach sheba betuma nechan betuma. The korban Pesach not only can be brought when everybody's tameh, but it can also be eaten when people are tameh. And the reason is the korban Pesach is brought to eat. The other ones are brought for the mitzvah and we eat them. These are brought only to eat. So if you're not eating, there's no reason to bring it. So we bring the korban Pesach in a state of impurity and we eat them. Wonderful question. We said it a few weeks ago. When the individual is tameh, he doesn't bring it. When the community is tameh, he brings it. Okay, what did we just learn now? We just learned that korbanot are pushed. These 5 things are pushed off when there is impurity. We still do them. The Gemara says chamisha. No, we read yesterday that the korban chagiga is not brought. Chamisha, we read this yesterday, we're just going to go a little bit lower. The last 2 lines, V'nite nami seirei regalim. So the question is, why didn't you not include in here the seirei of the regalim? There are different korbanot that are brought that are brought during the chag. There are a sir of the regel. The hatan, and it seems to be there, hatanane ziv cheshal mitzibur. Because we already taught the Shal Mitzibu, meaning we don't have to write all the korbanot. Once we've taught that the Shal Mitzibu, Shalmi means a Shlamim, Tzibu means the congregation. If we already taught you that the communities that the animal is impure, or the Kohen's something happened over that made it impure, we still bring it. And once we tell you still bring that korban, really it's all the other korbanot, which is also the sireh, all the other sirim of the regalim. The Gemara says, Yachi, sireh rashi chodashim nama no nitneh. Why do you need to Why do you need to teach the Rosh Chodesh? Tana zivche shal tzibur. You already taught me zivche shal mitzibur. Again, we're talking about korbanot that are impure. You're still allowed to bring them, and you did the mitzvah. Now, we didn't teach all the korbanot. We just taught zivche shal tzibur, which is on Shavuot. Why do we choose that one? I don't know. We chose that one. It's including all the korbanot. Well, why not include? So include also in that the chatat of Rosh Chodesh. On Rosh Chodesh there's a chatat to bring, and you didn't list all the types of korbanot. You listed one, but you also listed Rosh Chodesh. Why didn't you list all the other ones? Because they're included in this one. Well, also Rosh Chodesh should be included. So either list them all or don't list any. Why did you list 1 and 2? You should list only 1 or 20. So the Gemara answers, Amrei, we turn to page Zayin, Seirei rashi chodashim itztarichane. Sal kadatcha mina hano ketiv behu moed. Well, we know What's going to make it, we're going to see later in the Amoud, that allows you to bring the korban when it's tameh? Because the pasuk says, Be-mo'ado. I'll explain. When the Torah says, bring a korban in its appointed time, we don't care if you're tameh or not. Bring the korban on this day and this day only. Once we say Be-mo'ado, which is a moed, which is a time, which is like a chag, once we say that, you got to bring it no matter what. But why do we need to teach that you also have to bring the korban of the Rosh Chodesh? Because you might not know that Rosh Chodesh is a moed. Rosh Chodesh maybe is not a moed, maybe it's not a chag. Maybe Rosh Chodesh is a regular day, and we're going to push it off. That means if on Rosh Chodesh the animal becomes tameh, we still bring it. If the kelim still kameh, the kor is tameh, we still bring it. Why? It's not a moed. Yes, from here we learn that Rosh Chodesh is a moed. Rosh Chodesh is a special day. Rosh Chodesh is like a day of a chag a little bit. Kamash manan, the Rosh Chodesh ikre moed. From here we learn that Rosh Chodesh is called a moed, and we actually saw that somewhere else in Masechet Tanit Chavtet. It says, De Amar Abaye, Tamuz de Aishata miluye melave. You know that the year where Moshe Rabbeinu sent the Miraglim, that was the year where they were sent on the 29th of Nisan. If you make the calculation that 40 days later, it will end, and the night of the 40th day, meaning going to the next day, the day that they cried, was on Tisha B'Av. That only works if Tammuz has an extra day. And the Torah says that Tammuz for that year had 2 Rosh Chodesh, meaning you could have a month of 29 days, you could have a month of 30 days. Either the month is 29 days and the Rosh Chodesh is 30th, or the month is 30 days and 31 is the Rosh Chodesh. That year the Rosh Chodesh was an extra day, and the pasuk says, Dichtiv karai alai moed. It's written in Yirmiyah, in Echa, when Yirmiyah is saying his kinah, his lamentation for the korban, what does he say? Kara alai moed. Karai ala moed lishbor bachurai. That was the time, that was a moed, that Rosh Chodesh, we added a day of the Rosh Chodesh in order to destroy the Beit HaMikdash 2 times. The Beit HaMikdash was destroyed twice on Tisha B'Av. Can you imagine? Why? Because of that night of the Tisha B'Av where they cried. And the pasuk says, why do we know it was Tisha B'Av? Because Karai alai moed. We added an extra day of Rosh Chodesh. Karai alai moed. So we see from here, Rosh Chodesh is called moed. To recap everything we said, Kol manot cannot be brought. Kol manot, no choice. If something became impure, we bring the korban even in the state of the impurity. However, and Rosh Chodesh, and how do we know this is true for all the korbanot? Because it says moed. Rosh Chodesh, is it also a moed? Yes, it is, because of this pasuk. So for here we see that Rosh Chodesh is like a chag. It's a mini chag. And by the way, also there's any day that you have musaf, you have a little bit he'arav, the bigger neshama. So you're allowed to sit. For when it's open, you're allowed to sit. Only if it takes it out. Very good. Okay, from here we see that all these korbanot, this is the day you bring it, no matter what, even if they're tummy. How do we know it from? The Tanu Rabbanan, Vaydaber Hashem and Vaydaber Moshe and Moadei Hashem. Matal Munoma. What is that pasuk? Lifi shelo namanu ela b'tamid u'pesach, shema ben b'moado afilu b'shabbat, b'moado afilu b'tomah. When you bring the korban tamid every day, which is morning and afternoon, when you're bringing the korban pesach, there 2 psukim say be-moado. Moado means you bring it on Shabbos, you bring it even for your tamid. You don't miss the day. Now that's only for tamid and it's only for pesach. So you see that the word moado tells you to bring the korban on that day. Afilu Shabbat moado, afilu b'tumah. Shar korbanot tzibur minayin. How do we know all the other korbanot tzibur? The pasuk says, Ere ta'asu Hashem b'mo'adechem. So that pasuk is in, where is it? That pasuk is Bamidbar, it's in Pincha, it's in Emor.
Gimel. I don't know what you're saying, but Gimel in Torah.
Just trying to remember which, we have in Pesuchi, we have in Emor, yeah, so it's in, this is in Pinchas. So in Pinchas, there are all the korbanot that are written in the Parshat Pinchas, it says, do them, Ere ta'asu Hashem b'mo'adechem. You write them b'mo'adechem, that's the moed. So since it's written for the other ones, so Shabbat and Yom Shabbat, we know, Tamid we know, Pesach we know, all the other korbanot from here. Menayni rabot omer, akarev imoshte alechem, v'akarev imam. Well, there's also the omer on Shavuot. Shavuot is not written, it seems to be the omer of bringing the omer, it's not written in Pinchas, it's written in Emor. How do we know that over there you also bring it even on Shabbos? Tamun omar, vaydaber Moshe et Moadei Hashem et bnei Yisrael. And that is the end of Pashat Pinchas, where it says, Vadaber Hashem et Moadei Hashem. So you see that these are all called Moed. So we know that Kava Moed Echan Nekuan. So now that all the things that we learned are because of the word Moed. How do you know you bring it even if it's state of impurity? The pasuk says B'moado. B'moado, no matter what, even in that stage situation of impurity. The Gemara says V'kon Hane Lamali. Why do you need to see Moed here, Moed here, Moed here? Why not teach once and learn from all of them? The Gemara says Tzrichi. De'i katab Rachmanat Tamid Hava Amina Tamid Sheken Tadir. V'kalin, if the Torah would only teach you that you bring the Korban Tamid every day, even if it's on Shabbos, you might have thought for two reasons it has to be brought. Number one, it's every day. So every day we'll put off a Shabbos. Second, it's completely burnt up. Nobody's eating it. It's all for Hashem. You might have think bring it all for a Shabbos. About Pesach, no. But Pesach, you might not have known. Kamashmanan, that's why we need to teach you Pesach. It also needs to be brought in. Bikadav Rachmana Pesach, Pesach hu she'onish karet. But Tamid and Onish Karot. Emalo. Well, the Pesach, we would only teach Korban Pesach. Korban Pesach, if you didn't bring it, what's the punishment? Chayav Karet. So you might not have known anything else. Why would you bring in a Korban Pesach on Shabbos? Because it's such a big punishment that will push off the Shabbos. The other ones, it's not such a big punishment. Kamashmanan. Ikadav Rachmana Hane Tarte. Hava Mina Hanehu Yeshvan Sad Chamur. Now, what about teach Moed, teach Tamid, and teach Pesach? Well, these two have some side of stringency in them. One is Tamid Tadir, Tamid is Tadir, V'Kalin, Pesach Shoanosh Karet. Avashar Korban Tzibur Emano. So if we only teach two, you'll think it's only these two. You won't know the other one. V'Kadav Ramaneh. And the Torah says, V'Kadav Ramaneh Ere Ta'asud Hashem B'Moadechem. If we write all the Korbanot in Pesach, Hava Mina Shar Korban Tzibur Amin Nekaper. Aval Omer ושתי הנחם אין בהם לכפר, אלא להתיר ואן מנינו. No. You know that the Korban Omer, what is it doing? When you bring all the Korbanot are kapara, but the Omer, what is it doing? And the Shtei Alechem, it's only to allow you to use the own crop. Right now, soon, there's no more, you can't eat the new crop. Anything that's growing now, that's harvested now, after last Pesach, you're not allowed to eat it. You're only allowed to eat it after next Pesach. So when does that happen? When we take from the new crop, we bring it as a korban in the Beit HaMikdash. The same thing on Atzeret. Atzeret is we bring 2 loaves of bread. Those 2 loaves of bread are from the new crop, and they allow you to bring korbanot from the new crop. So you're allowed to eat the new crop from Pesach till Atzeret. You're allowed to bring for the korbanot from Atzeret afterwards. So these are only to be matir, they're not for kapara. So if we would only teach the pasuk that's teaching up korbanot, you might not know that the other ones you're allowed to bring them on Shabbos as well, because it's only ne'atir. V'ikatav b'chamana omer u'shtei alechem nechudayu avamina aderabba. Omer u'shnei alechem da'alime divine natir avananachno kamashmanan. So why not teach just the omer, that we're bringing this flour, this wheat, this barley, and that's it, everything else? No, because that, maybe you thought, if you don't teach all the rest, you might thought only this, because this is coming to give a heter. The other ones are not giving a heter, so you might not have known. What did we just say? We just said, bottom line, there are 5 types of things that you're allowed to bring a korban on, even if they're tameh. The reason is they're all written muado in all of them, and then why are each one needed? Because you might not have known the other ones from each one. If we only teach Tamid, because it's every day. If you only teach Pesach, because it's Karet. If you only teach the Korbanot, because it gives a kapara. If you only teach the Omer, well, that's because it's matir. So you might not have known we need to teach all 5. Okay, I need to teach you one more thing right now before we start the little Akdama, which is what is called the tzitz. The Kohen Gadol has certain garments. One of the garments he has is a tzitz. It's a metal plate that's on his sword. It says, Kadosh Lashem on it. The Gemara says an amazing thing, in that this is lichaper. It's a kapara. And it makes it that the korbanot that are brought in a state of impurity are still pure, that are still kosher. It's mechaper on the tumat Beit HaMikdash. Really interesting. It's the inyan of the tzaddik. It's the inyan of a tzaddik is in the city, he's protecting the whole city. Just the fact that he exists, so your impurity, we're still bringing it to the Beit HaMikdash. You're impure, we're still letting it come to the Mizbeach. Once you know that, it's easy to understand this. If you understand what it is a metaphor for, but what it was is anybody that by accident, that the korban became tameh, and it was brought, it's still kosher because the Kohen has the tzitz. That's interesting. Now, does the Kohen have to wear the tzitz, or is it the existence of the tzitz? That's going to be a discussion we'll see right now. Also, do not be confused. This is not on the person. Everything we said about Korban Pesach, for example, is on the person. The person is tameh, he's allowed to bring it. That's Korban Pesach. All of these, what we spoke about, is when the item is impure, you're still allowed to bring it. Okay? So look what it says now the Gemara. Savrua de kule'an matuma dichuyahi bitzubur. Okay, there's two ways of looking at it. Is tuma hutra or is tuma dichuya? Hutra means there is no more tuma. When the whole community is tameh, all the people, we're bringing
There is tuma, but it's mutar.
Yeah, it's mutar and it's completely mutar.
Yeah.
All the concepts of tuma are cancelled. There's no more isser of tuma like Nathan saying. And everything is good to go. Hutra. Or is it that the halacha is it dichuya b'tzibur? Meaning, no, we're still gonna bring it, but it's not completely permitted, and anything you can do to minimize the tuma, you need to do. So if we say that tuma is hutra, then there's no need of the Kohen Gadol and his tzitz. If we say that the tuma is dichuya, pushed away, you still need the tzitz, because the guy is allowed to bring it, but the korban still is tamen, you need the tzitz to mechaber. So the Gemara says, we thought to say, in the yeshiva, the Amoraim, everybody holds it's called pushed away, dichuya, not uprooted. Ubayat tzitz leratzot, and you need the tzitz to save the day. Delay katane de amar tuma hutra b'tzibur Rabbi Yehuda. Because the only one says that it's hutar, that it's completely uprooted, is Rabbi Yehuda. Detanya, tzitz ben sheyeshno al mitzcho, uben she'eno al mitzcho, meratzeh. Now how do we know that only Rabbi Yehuda holds that it's completely uprooted? Because there's a machloket, like I said before, does the Kohen need to wear the tzitz, or does he not need to wear the tzitz? So the Torah says, the Mishnah, the Bible says, tzitz ben sheyesh no mitzro, ben she'eno mitzro. Whether he's wearing it, he's not wearing it. She'eno mitzro, miratzeh, it's kosher. Divrei Rabbi Shimon, Rabbi Yehuda mer odehu al mitzro miratzeh, en odehu al mitzro, eno miratzeh. Rabbi Yehuda says no, he has to wear it. Rabbi Shimon says it has to exist. Rabbi Yehuda says he has to be wearing it. Amar lo Rabbi Shimon, Kohen Gadol b'Yom HaKippurim yochiach. I'm going to prove to you, says Rabbi Shimon, that he doesn't need to wear it. How do we know from Yom Kippur? Because she'eno an mitzro umeratzeh. You know the Yom Kippur, when the Kohen's going in, he's going to Kodesh Kodeshim. He's not wearing nothing. He's only wearing pashut clothes. He's not wearing the tzitz. So you see that the tzitz still works even on Yom Kippur. So the korbanot of the tzibur on Yom Kippur are going to be meratzeh, that will be pure, even though the Kohen's not wearing the metzach. The Gemara says, Rabbi Yehuda answered him, Anach Yom HaKippurim shetumah etcha b'tzibur. Come on, Yom HaKippurim is a communal korban. A communal korban is hutra. That's why he doesn't need to wear it. There's no more tuma. Michlad de Rabbi Shimon savar tuma dichuya b'tzibur. From here we see that tuma for Rabbi Shimon is dichuya. I'll just say that one more time. Rabbi Shimon, what are we talking about? The Kohen's wearing a tzitz. He's wearing it. Does he have to wear it? When he wears it, it works, and he doesn't wear it, does it work? Rabbi Yehuda says it only works when he's wearing it. Rabbi Shimon says it works all the time, no matter what. Rabbi Shimon wants to prove to Rabbi Yehuda that it works, because you know on Yom Kippur it works for the community when they're tameh and we're bringing the korban for them, even though he's not wearing it inside in Kodesh Kodeshim. As you see, he doesn't need to wear it. Says Rabbi Yehuda, what are you talking about? Don't compare a regular scenario. Don't compare that scenario of a regular scenario of an individual. That's a community, and a community is hutra. So you see from here that Rabbi Yehuda says there's no more halachot of tumah. It is uprooted. It's tameh. It's everything's mutter. So you don't need to continue to stage 2. But the fact that Rabbi Shimon didn't say that, the fact that Rabbi Shimon said that he goes into the Kodesh Kodeshim, it still works, and he's saying, you see from here that we prove that in general, even on the individual, it doesn't have to have a tzitz. That proves to you that it's not chutra b'tzibur. It is only dichuya b'tzibur. Bottom line, what we have is, the community is the state of impurity. Do we say that all the arachot of tumah are gone, or they're still here, and whatever you can save the day, save the day. If you have the tzitz, you got to use the tzitz. Or no, you don't even need a tzitz. So Rabbi Yehuda says you don't need a tzitz. Rabbi Shimon says you need a tzitz. The Gemara says, "Udekule alma en a tzitz meratze arachila arachilot." Now, when the tzitz works, it only works for bringing the korban, not for eating. How do we know? Delay ketana de shamatre Nobody says that the tzitz allows you to eat it. Tzitz is when there was a problem, there was a mistake, the korban was brought in impurity, and the korban brought, did the guy get his mitzvah? Yonatan brought a shlamim. All of a sudden the Kohen used the wrong knife, and the knife was tameh. And now it makes the whole thing, and he brought it. Now Yonatan wants to eat the piece of meat. Sorry, you can't eat the piece of meat. It's tameh. It's kodshim that it came tameh. Okay, do I have to bring another one? $500, $1,000 for a bull. I just paid $1,000 for this bull. I gotta buy another? No, you're yotze, because the tzitz is here. So the korban is still kosher for Hashem, but for you, it's not good. You can't eat it. From here we see that
Which one? Which korban?
all the korbanot. Whenever the tzitz works, whenever that's except for korban pesach, we're gonna see. Korban pesach is the exception. Whenever the tzitz works, are not allowed to eat it. So the question is, do you need a tzitz or you don't need a tzitz? I'll explain one more time. An individual, forget about the community. Yonatan comes to Beit Mikdash with his bull. He brought a bull. He's going to be always at the Beit Mikdash because it's like the Kivrei Tzadikim. He's like the Hilulot. He's going to always be bringing people to the Beit Mikdash. Come eat my seudot. He's going to making seudot in Yerushalayim, and he brings his bull. Now it's an individual. It's not. It's nothing to do. It's a regular Yom Chamishi in whatever month you want. No tzibur, no chatat, no nothing. He brings it. The Kohen made a mistake. What happens? It's okay. There's a tzitz. The tzitz is meratzeh. The tzitz works. The tzitz allows the impure knife. Yeah, it was impure, but the korban's still kosher. Sorry, you can't eat it. Sorry about that. We're asking forgiveness, but you're yotzeh. You don't got to bring another. For example, if you made a neder, the guy made a neder. Do you have to bring another one? No, you did your neder. Now, what about a community, Rabbi Natan? A community is different. When a community has a korban to bring on Yom Kippur, exactly, or Pesach, or Shlami, or Atzeret, where we're sending, it's the community. Now, that's Hutra B'tzibur. All the community is Tameh. Everybody's Tameh. So what do? Do we still bring the korban? Yeah, we still bring the korban. When we still bring the korban, what do? Do we uproot the whole inyan of Tumah, that you don't even need a tzitz, everything's kosher, or no? These guys are tameh, they can still send the korban, but the Kohen has got to do it, and we still need to make sure that he doesn't use a non-kosher knife. And even though it's going to become, maybe the knife is tameh or not, but we still need the tzitz. You still need the tzitz, because it's not completely cancelled. It's not that we're canceling. For example, a fast that falls on Tisha B'Av that falls on Shabbat. So we push it the next day, and the next day you got to fast. But let's say it's it's dechuya, but it's still a fast. It's pushed out. Now, what about a guy who has a brit on that day, so he can eat on the next day? It's not canceled the fast. We push it off, so the fast still exists on the next day, but it's a little bit lighter. So balabrit, chatan, all those people can eat. Same thing here. We allow you to bring the korban, but we're not canceling off the tumah v'tara. You still got to bring the tzitz. Now, that is all. The tzitz in general is only to allow you to get the korban, not to eat. Because the only one, Ella Rabbi Eliezer, only Rabbi Eliezer says, the Tanya, Rabbi Eliezer omer, tzitz meratzeh ad achilot. Only Rabbi Eliezer says that the tzitz is valid for eating. Rabbi Yossi omer, en tzitz meratzeh ad achilot. And Rabbi Yossi says no. Last little stretch, Neima masnistin delo ki Rabbi Yeshua. The Tanya, our Mishnah is not like Rabbi Yeshua. Because is not like Rabbi Yeshua. What does Rabbi Yeshua say? Detanya, ve'asita olotecha abasar ve'adam. Let's read Torah all quickly, the pasuk that says, ve'asita olotecha. You will bring your korban. Habasar ve'hadam. You will bring the blood and you will bring the meat. Ana mizbeach. Hashem lokecha ve'dam zevachecha yishapech ana mizbeach. And you gotta spill the blood on the mizbeach. V'abasar tochen, and you will eat the meat. So what do we see over here? The Tanya, asita olatecha habasar ve'adam. Rabbi Yeshua omer, en dam en basar. Im en badam en basar. Im en basar en dam. Rabbi Yeshua says they are connected. If you can't eat the korban, there's no korban. What I just told you before, that our korbanot are allowed to be brought in, even though you can't eat them, because that's what our Mishnah says. It's not like Rabbi Yeshua. It's not like Rabbi Yeshua, because Rabbi Yeshua says if you can't eat the korban, you're not yotzeh. If you can't eat it, even though you throw the blood, there's two parts of the korban. There's the blood and there's the eating. If you can't eat it, even the blood is not kosher. I just told you that Yonatan brought it. He threw the blood. The blood is kosher, and the eating is not kosher. Rabbi Yeshua says no. And there's no blood, there's no meat, there's no blood. There's no blood, there's no meat. Rabbi Eliezer omer, afar pi she'en basar, Shenemar v'dam zevachecha yishapech. And Rabbi Eliezer says no. Rabbi Eliezer says no. You pour the blood. You pour the blood. That's all you have to do. You don't have to eat it. Umani mikayem ve'asita olotecha basar v'dam. Nomar lecha ma dam mizrika basar b'zrika. Ve'omer lul katan yesh ben keves lemizbech ben keves lemizbech. So Rabbi Eliezer, what does he do with this pasuk? The pasuk says dam and basar together. Then it says you throw the blood. So Rabbi Yeshua says dam and blood together. If there's no basar and dam. Basar and dam. If there's no basar, there's no dam. If you can't eat the meat, you're not good. I'll say it again. The pasuk says basar and dam. And then the pasuk says throw the dam. Basar and dam, if you have the blood and you have the meat, it's kosher. No meat, no blood. You don't get a kapara. And what do you do? And it says throw the blood. You don't throw the blood if you can't eat the meat. That's Rabbi Yeshua. Rabbi Eliezer says no. The dam and the basar together has nothing to do with if you didn't eat the meat. If you didn't throw the meat. What do you mean throw the meat? Well, the pasuk says throw the blood, and here it's blood and meat. You have to throw the meat. How do you throw the meat? Because there was the ramp of the mizbeach. There was a ramp over here, and the ramp goes up. The mizbeach is here, and the ramp bringing you up has a little empty space. It's not connected. So the empty space is like a floor, and you have to actually take the korbanot and throw them from here to here. That's Rabbi Eliezer. When you get to the top, you got to throw the korban onto mizbeach. So it seems to be, we're going to see tomorrow that our Mishnah is not Rabbi Yeshua. Because Rabbi Yeshua says, if you can't eat it, it's not kosher. And all these korbanot, you can't eat them. Be'ochim to you.